I really can't call this one. I can't call it. All right. So there's a disturbing 911 call about this event right here, where the woman says that it had something to do with a kid who I think lived in Preacher Robert's house, a 15-year-old who killed some people last Easter. And I think Robert went to mediate the situation, probably try to diffuse it or be a go-between. And the dudes probably listened to him. Yeah, preach. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, preach. I feel you. Then he got out the car. They probably looked at each other like, nah, they killed the homie. Pop, 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 pop. And killed him because he was related to the guy who killed their homie last year.
Argyle Drive, and he just got shot. Somebody needs to come now.
Okay, hold on.
He's on the ground shot. Can't walk up there because they're shooting.
Oh, he got shot in the church. I spotted 2 boys walking with my neighbor's house. They kept looking at my neighbor's house. Because her son killed 2 people not too long ago. Yeah, you see me police to 3 or 4 Argyle Drive. Somebody been out here shooting 2 little boys. They got masks all the way up to their face. And they done shot somebody. The 2 little boys was out here shooting. They got masks all the way up to their faces. 2 little boys. Let me change that story. We don't know. We just heard it. The boys is running towards the hotel. They got black masks on. There's 2 boys. They shot. They shot this boy down. They're like about 15 to 16 years old.
Okay, so that there were numerous calls, like a bunch of black people called the police. A bunch of them, as you heard from that montage of the 911 calls. But you heard the one woman say they was eyeing the neighbor's house because he killed 2 people not too long ago, which was last Easter. This was a revenge hit. An eye for an eye. Eye for an eye. We can't catch you. We're going to kill somebody close to you. And in this case, it was a young preacher who just been ordained. Father of 2 young children. Senselessly taken out over something he had nothing to do with. Well, I'm not going to say he had nothing to do with it. It seemed like he was trying to mediate the situation, trying to politic the situation, but something he didn't do. And a lot of people ask me why I do this. Is it because I hate myself? Is it because I hate black people? Is it because I was hurt in the past? What black person hurt you? Well, God damn it. I mean, if you've grown up in the black community like I have, and you 43, what black person hurt me? How many? Like, God damn. You see these stories? So next time somebody says, what black person hurt you, I'm going to have to block you. Because that's like the most ridiculous question. Do you see the murder rate? You see the violent crime rate in these communities? What black person hurt you? What? So I'm going to have to block you. And mods, please get the blocking, man. I see a lot of things. Now, don't just block anybody who's just speaking their mind. But you know a troll when you see a troll. I mean, and I don't mind if you play with the troll a little bit, but eventually give them the smackdown, block them. Because The people we cover here that get killed, there's a common theme with them. They're the best and the brightest the black community and oftentimes the white community and Hispanic community has to offer. Just good, hard-working, everyday people being killed by these thugs. That man rode through probably 1,000 sundown towns, as y'all call it. Sundown towns. He probably rode through 1,000 of y'all so-called alleged sundown towns, which is the biggest threat to black people traveling through the South. Stop over at a motel in a sundown town. If you have any stories of, black people stopping for a drink of water in a sundown town, stopping for directions in a sundown town, or stopping at the motel because they're tired they're weary from the traveling in a sundown town and being killed by some racist crackers, please send me that story. Please.
Hey, Lorenzo, police sources tell me that one of those people that they've arrested is this 20-year-old Ronnie Marshall, the guy who they were looking for, the guy who was apparently known to someone in the family. Not clear exactly who that other suspect is that they have also detained, but they also have found that Nissan Altima that they were looking for. And witnesses said when they saw that car fleeing from the murders of these two military medical workers, there were two people in it. Police back at the home Thursday, scouring for evidence that might help find and convict the killer or killers who murdered two military doctors who were apparently returning with their dogs from a walk through the neighborhood Wednesday morning. Someone has left flowers and an American flag by the mailbox. Edward and Brenda McDaniel both served their country as physicians.
Got them some money and got the hell up out of Blackistan. Got a nice house out there in the sticks, man. Springfield, far from D.C., Jack. Feel so bad for them, man. There's nowhere to run in 2021. There's nowhere to run. It's everywhere.
Edward and Brenda McDaniel both served their country as physicians. Edward McDaniel was active duty at Fort Belvoir Community Hospital and had helped train Iraqi doctors to care for people in their troubled country. One of the kindest and most generous human beings alive, his mother said.
They were shot and killed in cold blood in their own front yard.
Police suspect 20-year-old Ronnie Marshall was at the home on Monday, that he is known to one of the McDaniels' relatives, and that he was involved in an argument at the house on Monday. They suspect Marshall returned to the house Wednesday with someone else and that he killed the McDaniels.
Now, they have a son. I don't know how many kids they got, but they had a teenage son. And I suspect that that's who the argument was with. And this little Negro said, look, he came back around there, seen the boy's parents. He'd been in the house, was known to the family. He was mad. He knows that all the times he's been arrested before, there's been no consequences because he's a minor. And even though a lot of y'all be like, yeah, but this is murder. See, his brain is going to automatically click and know that murder is there's going to be consequences this time. Do you know how many murders go unsolved in D.C. area? Chicago, Memphis, Baton Rouge, Newark, New York. It's easy to get away with murder. Most of them go unsolved. Do you see my stories? No suspects. We're pleading with the, please turn yourself in. How many times have you seen the story where the family's like, please turn yourself in? Or the police are asking the public for information. Easy to get away with this. He didn't get away, but I could see how he would have thought he would have been able to get away. Just come around this suburban community, kill these 2 doctors, and ride off like nothing happened. I can see how in his mind he would have thought, been arrested a bunch of times, been in and out of juvie, multiple guys who've killed people, and he's probably killed people before. This boy who was with him probably killed people before. So you have to go a little deeper into the mind of these people. Like, these are not people that are thinking like, man, we gonna get caught, we gonna go to jail for the rest of our life. Nah, they not thinking about that. He mad. He gonna go kill these people. Go kill this little boy. Oh, little boy don't want to come out? All right, there goes parents right there. We'll kill his parents. Simple. It's not like y'all put a lot into it, like a lot of extra. These white liberals got y'all thinking about, is his single mother fault or nah? He could have a single mother. He could have a single father. It's the culture. He could have had a father and a mother. But I feel sorry for the family, man. They let a fox into the hen house. They let a fox into the hen house. This boy probably ain't even from around that neighborhood where they at. Probably never even seen a house like that. Probably jealous too. Seeing how nice his buddy's house was. And he wanted to ruin his life too. A lot of that goes into it too. His buddy out there living deep in the suburbs, got a family, parents, 2 parents that care about him. House probably laid out, artwork, open design, kitchen, living room, nice furniture, granite top, countertop, hardwood floors. He's probably like, oh yeah, you think we beefing, I'm going to take that from you. There's a lot of different thoughts that go through these savages' minds. And I only call them savages because that's what they refer to themselves as. So if there's any pro-blacks left in the chat, because I want a blocking spree to go on from the moderators, just block their asses. Because they don't care. When they complain about this, it's not for the black community. They're not trying to defend the black community. They're trying to defend themselves. Because they don't want to hear about how savage their community is. It's about them. It's not about standing up for the black community. It's about them. Always remember that when you see a black troll. It's not about, you said this about the black community, damn it. I'm going to defend my race. No. It's about them. They don't want to hear about this shit.
Police suspect 20-year-old Ronnie Marshall was at the home on Monday, that he is known to one of the McDaniels' relatives, and that he was involved in an argument at the house on Monday. They suspect Marshall returned to the house Wednesday with someone else, and that he killed the McDaniels. Police say the couple has a teenage son, and that he was home when they were killed.
They were doing nothing wrong. They were outside. They were gunned down. And our commitment is justice for them and for those family members left behind.
Neighbors say, sadly, while they remember the couple for their friendliness, there has been trouble at the house before.
Teenage kids, their friends were the bad, I understand, the bad people bringing in the weapons.
So you heard that? The friends are the bad people. So they got teenage kids. And this is what I always tell you, man. You can never escape Blackistan because you got kids. And your kids going to be into hip-hop and parties and all the wanting to be cool in their culture as a black person. And especially if they're out here in a nice neighborhood like this, they're going to want to go back to the city and be in the city and hang with the kids and get some street creds and be a real, authentic black person, you know, hanging out in the hood and hanging out with thugs. Because that's the only way you can really be authentic that you feel when you're young. I've been through it. When you're young, you feel the only way to be authentically black is to hang around with thugs, hang in the projects, hang in the hood. Trust me, man, I've been there, man. That's the way, that's the only, any other than that, you're not really authentically black. So your parents, you know, who've worked their whole lives and probably never wanted you to be a part of any of that, and obviously didn't want to be a part of that themselves, or they'd be living in Southeast DC on Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue if they love black people so much. But they don't love being around black people. So that's why they live 20, 30 miles out in the suburbs. Far as they could get away from black folk. But they're kids. Brought that element in their house, into their front doorstep, and it cost them their lives.
They remember the couple for their friendliness. There has been trouble at the house before.
Teenage kids, and their friends were the bad. I understand the bad people bringing in the weapons.
Now, we are expecting that news conference here at Public Safety Headquarters just in the next few minutes. And we have the news conference happening right now, so let's go to that.
We're here because two pillars of our community, of our country, really, were gunned down viciously in their own front yard just yesterday morning. Colonel Edward McDaniel Jr., United States Army, a 55-year-old physician, described by friends and relatives as the rock of the McDaniel family, and his beloved wife, Colonel Brenda McDaniel, United States Army retired, a 63-year-old former physician, described by her friends and family as a loving mother, sister, and wife. Shot and killed and charged today, and we're proud to announce, under these very tragic and sad circumstances, that we have arrested and charged Ronnie Marshall, a 20-year-old male. We apprehended him early this morning in Fairfax County. We'll give you those details. And we just recently, a couple hours ago, arrested and have charged D'Angelo Strand. D'Angelo, D-E-A-N-G-E-L-O, Strand, S-T-R-A-N-D, a 19-year-old male. We arrested him just a couple hours ago in Mount Vernon. The motive in this case, there were a couple questions yesterday about motive. That is still under investigation. I can tell you with certainty that it was a dispute. I can also tell you with certainty that our two killers and a relative of our victims were all co-workers. So our two killers and a relative of our two victims were co-workers. And
who saw the video I did a few weeks ago when I talked about working with brothers? I think it was about maybe 2-3 weeks ago. There's a video I did. That's why you guys got to watch every video. And I did a long monologue about how it is working on the job site with brothers. Hit one if you remember that video. I think it started with a young lady was killed in Atlanta. But I ended up being about this Philadelphia story with this manager. He was in charge of paying the day laborers, and he had $15,000, and a co-worker, black co-worker, killed him and robbed him for the $15,000. Just killed him for it. And I was talking about how when you're on the job site with brothers, it's almost like being in prison or being on a street corner. The mentality they bring to the workplace, the cantankerousness, the bickering, the fighting, the nature of the interactions, the joking and the busting of balls and the, bullying, and everybody's got to be a gangster, even at work, man. I'm telling you, it's crazy, man. Get in the comment section and give your stories if you got any about how it is working with brothers, man. It's rough, man. Especially being a manager. If you're a pro-black and you think that people like me are a coon, go be a manager somewhere. Be a manager anywhere and have some black employees. Be the one in charge, the one that got to keep order, the one that got to make sure everything's done, the one that got to answer to the boss, the one that needs precision and timeliness and things to be done right, the one that needs people to follow orders, follow directions. Go be a manager. That's what I say. Pro-blacks, I tell pro-blacks that. Be a manager on a site with a bunch of black employees. And then come back to me and tell me you still blackity black, critical race theory, everything the white man fault, and you a coon if you don't take up for thugs, defund the police, and all this other crap. Come back with that after you've been a manager on the job site and has some black employees.
The motive in this case, there were a couple questions yesterday about motive. That is still under investigation. I can tell you with certainty that it was a dispute. I can also tell you with certainty that our two killers and a relative of our victims were all co-workers. So our two killers and a relative of our two victims were co-workers, and that's a fact. It's also a fact that this is related to Monday's 911 call for service and burglary investigation. So we've lost, as a community, Fairfax County, as a nation, we've lost two brave, dedicated, lifelong servants to our country. Two full colonels were murdered in a residential neighborhood community, and for what? And that's what has got us shaking our heads. For what? We wouldn't be here today to announce the arrest of these killers without help from our community. The tips came in not only all day yesterday from the scene and after we were clearing the scene, but the tips came in all day today as well. So we're grateful to our community for...
See, the community stepped up. I don't have to ask... I don't have to tell you the demographics of Springfield, do I? Do I have to tell you what the demographic is like, especially in this part of Springfield? Huh? Do I have to tell you what type of people live out there? Or do you already know? The tips came in. The phone was ringing. The tip line was ringing off the hook. None of the dispatchers got to take a lunch break that day. The tips was coming in like crazy. Phone ringing off the hook. Because they knew something. Did you hear the white guy earlier? They know. People knew something. They told the police.
We wouldn't be here today to announce the arrest of these killers without help from our community. The tips came in not only all day yesterday from the scene and after we were clearing the scene, but the tips came in all day today as well. So we're grateful to our community for stepping forward. We couldn't have done this without you, and we wouldn't be here announcing these arrests without our community. So thank you to the Fairfax County community.
Hey, you've been listening to this news conference in Fairfax County where they have been able to arrest 2 people connected to the tragic deaths of both colonels and physicians, Edward and Brenda McDaniel, in front of their own homes.
Right, yeah, the police chief there saying they arrested a 19-year-old D'Angelo Strand and 20-year-old Ronnie Marshall, and they really are moving quickly with this investigation. You heard the chief there also making some sort of connection between the victims there and the suspects, saying that 2 suspects are relatives, or they are familiar, rather, with someone who is tied to these relatives here.
Yeah, and apparently they say it was tied to a dispute and connected to what happened at that home on Monday, which were calls for a burglary there. We'll continue to follow this tragic story here and bring you updates as we get them.
Hours after police rushed to a home in Springfield, on Wednesday night, the search continued for whoever committed what they described as a brutal double murder.
It's a tragedy. It's something that shouldn't happen. It did happen, and we need to bring this person to justice.
A husband and wife identified as Edward and Brenda McDaniel, both military veterans, shot and killed in the front yard of their home along Flint Street.
Both physicians, honorable soldiers, and members of the United States military service.
The motive for the shooting still remains unknown, but investigators believe the same suspect connected to a burglary at the home on Monday committed Wednesday's double murder. As police swarmed to the home, neighbors described seeing the couple around the area.
They were 2 very nice people, and we used to talk every time they come around the block with their dogs.
A search.
So, the guys burglarized the house on Monday. 911 was called. They got away. And then they came back to the scene of that they burglarized and killed these 2 doctors, man. 2 black doctors. 2 black doctors who had their little piece of Americana, raised their kids up in it, and some fools that the damn son brought home from work. Look what the cat dragged in. Tried to burglarize the house on Monday. 911 was called. They got away. And instead of staying away, they mad because you snitched on me or you said something harsh while I was trying to burglarize your house. Or you accused me of something. I ain't do nothing. Or why you accusing me of that? That wasn't me, man. Now I'm come shoot your bitch ass. And he wasn't out there. The parents was taking a walk. These fools roll up and smoke their ass right in front of their piece of land they bought to get the hell away from these Negroes. Just a sad, 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 sad story, man. God, dog. Mods, remember, are you mods blocking these pro-blacks? You gotta block these pro-blacks, man, from here, man. Because their complaints about the way I talk about these stories are not about the black community. They're defending themselves. They're not defending the black community. Because they'll get in the comment section of a video like this and talk about me. And talk about something that I said that offended them. They have nothing to say about the McDaniels. Or the Ronnie Marshall boy, another boy, Strand, killed these couple. Burglarized their home on Monday and killed them on Wednesday.